How drinking ayahuasca can result in entity possession. Recently, I have heard about multiple cases of entity attachments as a result of participating in medicine journeys. These cases often involved people calling in a seemingly benevolent angel and spirit guide, but it was a malevolent entity in disguise who appeared to them during a ceremony instead. Keep in mind that these occult hostile forces can appear and adjust to the belief system of the person they want to attach to. They can appear as a Palladian, Jesus, Virgin Mary, Buddha, and so forth. This is a classical trap of agreement. A trap of agreement means that these entities need your consent to enter, even if it's manipulated consent via shape-shifting and appealing to your wishful thinking, wounds, weaknesses, and ego by trying to make you feel special. I'm not saying that all medicine plants are bad or that working with them automatically results in entity attachments, nor do I hold the dogmatic fundamentalist Christian belief that all shamanism and spiritual forces are demonic. Angels exist, higher beings exist, some are benevolent, others are malevolent. It's not black and white. Plant medicine is not inherently evil either, and I've worked with many medicine plants myself in the past extensively. However, I've seen an increase in these entities attaching themselves to people in the medicine world over the years. It's a side effect of the rise of New Age neo shamanism and spiritual bypassing, driven by people looking for shortcuts in the healing journey or chasing the high of peak experiences. And most people have no idea what they're getting themselves into. If you don't understand occult laws and engage in these ceremonies or take any form of psychedelics without any prior psycho-spiritual work and grounded self-awareness, you play hyperdimensional Russian roulette and bring something back with you. In 2016, I was working with someone who was dealing with an entity he took on after an ayahuasca ceremony. It's the most severe type of possession, not merely an entity attachment, I've ever seen with a client. The entity literally took control of his body. As I was working and processing with him, the entity was interfering with our session, putting him into a spasm, choking him, and so forth, telling him that he's just a monkey puppet. He had been dealing with this entity for about 6 months. It was basically destroying his life. The way he took on the entity was a perfect example of a trap of agreement scenario, which is a very important occult law to understand. When this entity appeared in his ayahuasca vision as a spirit guide or angel, it wasn't threatening at all. The contrary, it was very alluring, and he innocently and naively invited it in. There are more disturbing things surrounding this incident, especially with regard to the people involved who run this ayahuasca center, which showed strong signs of dark shamanism and black magic at work. It's most often not noticeable to the uninitiated naive eye. It seems very likely that he got entity tagged by the shaman in order to keep him sick so that he would come back for more treatments. This is no different than a Western doctor keeping his patients sick and addicted to pharmaceuticals so that they become big pharma consumers for life. With the help of this girlfriend, I was able to get him back into his body and give him some tools to work with, how to communicate with the entity, not giving in to the fear tactics, and most importantly, empower him to heal himself. Essentially, after a long process, he was able to dislodge the entity, and he's been doing much better. But there was still work needed for full reintegration. Most importantly, healing the entry points where this entity entered, which involved somatic psycho-spiritual trauma and shadow work. Just removing an entity is not enough if the entry point is not closed, which requires inner work. Key point. What is also very important to point out is that during the entire healing journey, he didn't fall into the victim blame trap, but instead took full responsibility for what had happened to him, owning up to his own blind spots, wounds, and shortcomings. All these are lessons. Ultimately, taking self-responsibility for your healing is key, and learning how to access your true self in essence via closing off any entry points within you or working through anything that is in the way of your true self to come forth is the ultimate state of protection. Remember, knowledge protects you, especially self-knowledge. Ignorance and dangerous.